All right, welcome. Today is April 21st. It's Tuesday. Sorry I didn't post this yesterday. Just trying to get used to what's going on. Just to catch everybody up, we have now started phase 3 of online or distance learning, which basically means that for my class, not a lot's going to change from what you've been seeing me do the past couple of weeks. But now we're going to start actually getting grades. One of the things that from the Paris directive is, and if you read yesterday's post, there's going to be 6 formatives, 2 summatives. I am going to keep the best 3 grades out of the formatives and the best grade from the summative. And I will only add scores if it improves your score. So I'm just going to have to kind of monitor that. We're trying to give you the best shot possible. I'm limiting the things that I teach to just the main important GLEs and things like that. Now, because this was a mixed enrollment class where we had some dual enrollment people and some non-dual people, I still have to stay true to what Southeastern wants. But fortunately for us, we were actually just about finished with all of the units. We only had 4 chapters remaining. So we had Unit 9, Unit 10, Unit 11, and Unit 12. Now, I started with doing Unit 9 already. I am gonna, if for the DE people, I will include that because they were diligently working on it. For the non-DE, I am going to ask that you go back and review the videos and things like that. I won't use that one for a grade in our grade book unless it benefits you. I still recommend doing the Chem 101 app, the homework and all of that. Yesterday, I did post a video that goes through on solving the problems if you were stuck on any of them. Majority of the people had actually worked on that. I had 30 out of 32. There's only 2 people in the class that I haven't really heard from at this point. So that's going to be kind of important on you. One of the things that I'm going to do is for the Chem 101 homeworks, they are going to stay open till April 30th for Units 9 and Units 10. You need to make sure that you've completed both of those by then. Because what's going to happen now, by the end of the week, we should be finished with Unit 10. So that means we have 2 chapters. In the first summative that I'm going to do, and I'm going to put it through Elluminate, so it's going to be familiar. You'll see one of those links like you used to see for it that you can go in, you can click on it, and do the questions from there. I am going to I have to figure it out. There may be a couple of constructed response questions where I have to have you draw an atom or something like that. So I may put those draw a bond or something like that. I may put those in the Chem 101 and just have you submit those through that. Or I may actually have you draw it out on paper and take a picture of it and send it to me, or scan it in, email it, whatever. Just some way that we get that to me. That's going to be a thing that I'll have to work out and see how that works, because this one does ask us to do some drawing, but for the most part, it's actually identifying the shapes of the drawing. So that's kind of good for you. Now, so one of the things I wanted to do was help us see some of the direction that we're going into and what I actually need you to see and do. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm going to point out some things that we are going to need to be using to be able to, some things that we're going to be needing to use to do some of this material. So one of the things that you're always going to need to have handy is your reference packet. The little paper sheet that I gave you. If you don't have it, let me know, and I'll post these as PDFs online. But you're obviously going to need your periodic table that I was holding upside down. But more so importantly on this is this page that you should have. It looks similar to the one that I have on the screen right now, but not really so much this stuff at the top, but we're going to start using this table right here more than anything. This is the electronegativity table. If you go through Unit 9, the last part of Unit 9 talks about different excuse me, different different trends on the periodic table. One of the trends that we looked at was electronegativity. Notice that noble gases on here are not participating in this because noble gases do not form bonds necessarily. So we're not going to be using END to calculate this. If you have a noble gas that's in a bond, it's always going to be a covalent bond. Just kind of know that. All right. So what this table allows us to do is calculate something called END. And what END helps us do is determine on a scale. We have bonds that are very ionic, and we have bonds way over here on the other side of the spectrum that are non-polar covalent. All right, so we have the spectrum between ionic and nonpolar covalent. Somewhere in here is also another bond that is called polar covalent, which this is kind of the next topic that we're going to start doing too, is determining the polarity of a molecule. And so depending on where they fall in this range, and this range is a number that ranges from like 0, and then somewhere around here, I think it's like 1.5 or 1.8 or something like that, on up becomes ionic. And then for polar covalent, you have this range somewhere around 0.5 or something like that. Don't trust these numbers right now. Whenever I actually go into the lecture, I'll do a little bit more with that. I'll probably pull this back in there so that you can kind of mark that on there and things like that. But the way that this works, you know, I've always told you, look and see if it's the little stair-step line that separates metals from non-metals, that we said everything over here was metals. All right, and we said everything over here was non-metals. All right, and if they bonded together in such that you had like magnesium and chlorine bonding, and we said magnesium's a +2, chlorine's a -1, so that means when it bonds, it's MgCl2. And so when we look at that one, if we were to calculate END for that, and we look at it, magnesium has a 1.2, and chlorine has a 3.0. So 3.0 minus 1.2 is 1.8. And you can see that that falls in this line of being polar, of ionic. All right, it's greater than 1.8. I actually think this one is like 1.5 is where the number is. All right, now what would happen if we have one of these that fall on the metalloid line? Well, it could either be ionic or covalent depending on what's happening with the metalloid. So if we have one of these, let's just say that we have silicone tetraoxide. Now I'm going to call it that just because I'm being intentionally vague. I'm giving it a covalent name, but I don't know that it's necessarily covalent yet. Well, how will I know if it's covalent or not? Well, I have to look at what's going on here. Silicone has a 1.8 electronegativity, and oxygen has a 3.5. So 3.5 minus 1.8 gives us a number of 1.7. So again, depending on what you call this number here, we could either call it ionic or polar covalent. If we call it ionic, that might change the name. So what we need to do is find a way And this is chemistry's attempt at determining that. Now, so don't necessarily go into all of this just yet. I just wanted you to see this and be aware of this. The next chart that's going to start becoming more increasingly important to us is on this next page, where we see this table here that's called the Vesper table. This is the last table. It's VSEPR, and this is an atomic theory that is called valence, shell, electron, pair, repulsion. All right, and so this is a theory that talks about how the shapes of molecules based on this. So, you know, if we were to draw a Lewis structure of H2O, based on the rules that I gave you the other day, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna refresh all of this either today or tomorrow. I'm gonna give a little section of this. But if we were go back and just draw this based off of this, well, we know that oxygen is going to be the central element. But by the rules, we might just draw hydrogen here and put a hydrogen here, and we're going to connect them with a single bond, and that represents 2 electrons. And then we know that each a hydrogen contributes 1 electron. So that means that the hydrogen, since there's 2 of them, we're contributing 2 electrons there. And then oxygen has, what is it, 6 valence electrons? Yes, oxygen is in group 6A, so it has 6 valence electrons. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8 around oxygen. We have 2 around each hydrogen, so that satisfies it. So we might withdraw it like that. But what this table is going to allow us to do is see that we have something a little bit different, that we actually have 4 electron domains. So we have an electron domain here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what's going to actually happen is that this molecule is going to be bent. So it's going to look more like this, which you've seen water drawn this way before. All right, and so that's what we're going to start getting to. So technically, the shape of a water molecule is what's called tetrahedral. Bent. All right. Now, so again, I'm not really expecting anything for this at this point. I just want to introduce you to 2 tables that are going to come very, very helpful to you. I will, more than likely, I will post a PDF that's a better table to use than this one that has a little bit more information, one that actually shows you the structures in the shape that they are. This is a 2D version of it. It's not the best. It doesn't allow you to see the actual shape of it and all that. And notice these bond angles where it says 104.5. What that's talking about is the bond angle right here is 104.5. Sounds like a radio station. But anyway, that's the 2 main things that you need. So right now, I want to go through where we should be, where we've been, where we're going, and what's next. So first thing, right now, everyone in their Chem 101 app, everyone in my class should have completed homework 9. This should be complete. All right. Again, looking through my records and looking at the questions, for the most part, and I'm doing this just to kind of let y'all know, that I am keeping track, that I'm looking. Most of the questions, I see that about 30 people have attempted the question. We have 32 people in the class. So that means there's 2 people that I haven't heard from or seen from. I need to dig a little deeper to find out who those 2 people are. All right. Now, after I get to about question 13 or so, that number drops to somewhere around 20. So I'm seeing that the majority of the class is doing the work and has been pretty much on it. So yesterday I posted a video that goes through and helps you answer homework 9. If you have not completed homework 9 and all of that, you need to go through and finish that. If you haven't watched the video lectures and all of that for homework 9, I recommend going back through and listening to this. It's going to take you about 2 hours to get through all of them. You know, I legitimately only have access to one person in our class, and he has decided that he only likes to work between 8 p.m. and 4 or 5 a.m. So I don't even see him right now unless I go in there and wake him up and talk to him. So, you know, we all have this. The rest of y'all, I don't see you at all. If there is interest, I could do like a possible live meet. I'll post a link. I could post a link in Google Classroom and say that on Thursday we're going to meet and talk at 5 p.m. till 6 p.m. or something like that. Or do it on Friday for those of you that are wanting to start taking the test and all of that. I can do that and record it and things like that, answer some questions. I just need to learn how to use the Meet program a little bit more, and be able to do it and do it justice. All right. So that's where we've been. All right. Right now, we're doing Unit 10. So for right now, you should have completed problems 1 through 13 in homework 10. I think there was one question about polarity that I said to skip. You can go ahead and skip that one. The next lecture that I do will cover that and talk about, is it polar or non-polar and how do we determine. That's going to be using E and D and all of that. So that's where you should be. All right, that's where we have completed up to. Now, from here on out, between now and Friday, we will finish Unit 10. And I'm going to say that I'm going to finish Unit 10 by Thursday. All right. So I'm going to finish Unit 10 by Thursday. Again, you're working on your own time and all of that. So if you're working in the morning, if you're working in the evening, if you're sharing a device with somebody, find a time that you can allot to dedicate to this. I'm going to try to keep it to where you're not spending more than 30 minutes a day if you do it as I assign things. But if you're waiting to do it all at once, you're going to have to spend 2 or 3 hours at one block of time to do it. So again, you shouldn't be spending more than about 20, 30 minutes. I understand my videos sometimes are a little bit longer than that, but you can watch pieces of the video in a day and go to the next day. Or since I do them the way I do them, you can actually click the ×2 and watch them at twice the speed. I'm kind of interested to hear how I sound in some of those things and all of that. But just know that. Now, so on Friday, I'm going to open a test. I'm going to give our first summative assignment. So both of these are formatives. Both homework 9 and homework 10 are formative. All right, the first summative that I'm going to open up is going to be Unit 9 and 10. Quiz, test, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be about 20 questions. It's going to be multiple choice. The multiple choice portion will be through Elluminate. I'm going to have probably 2 constructed response. That'll be in the Chem 101 app. We've taken quizzes in there before, and the thing that it allows me to do some things like drawing or something like that. It's possible that these constructed responses, I may have you take a picture and email the answer to me if it's having you draw a molecule or something like that. I have to figure out what's going to be the best way. I know there's things on Google, like Google Draw and all of that I could have you do, but a lot of them just don't give me what I want for this. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that. And we'll figure it out as we go. Now, from there, the summative test is going to be, I'm going to open it up on Friday. And that's going to be Friday, April 24th. And it will close on Wednesday, 4-29. So that gives you 5 days to take this quiz. Now, what I'm going to try to do with this, if you do poorly on it or things like that, I'm going to try to find a way to give you some feedback on it, and I will make an alternate version of the same quiz, and I'll give you an opportunity to retake it for a better grade. And so the kind of goal on this is to give you as many opportunities as you have. You should have more time on your hands than you've ever had before, because we're not really able to do a lot of these extra things that we've been doing. So just kind of keep that in mind. All right, now moving forward from that, starting Monday of next week, and that's going to be Monday 4-27, we will begin Unit 12. All right, now notice I'm skipping Unit 11. The reason why I'm skipping Unit 11 is because Unit 12 actually relates to Units 9 and 10. It's going to be very similar material. Units 12 is dealing with solids, liquids, and gases. All right. And then it's also dealing with something called intermolecular forces. All right, which we call IMFs. All right, this is directly related to bond shape. And polarity. All right, and so that's the reason why I'm going to include that in there, because it ties directly into what's going on with Unit 10. So we'll start seeing that. From there, we'll spend probably the remainder of next week till that would be so from Monday to Friday, which is going to be 5-1, I believe, we will do Unit 12. All right. So that's kind of going into the future. And then the next week, we will start Unit 11. All right, so I'm skipping Unit 11 and all of that. And now, Unit 11 is specifically gas laws. I find most people do really, really well with this one. It is all very problem based. It's very applying numbers to a formula. There's formulas for it. If you look on your reference sheet, you'll find in that bottom left-hand corner of the second page, there are several formulas and things that we use for this. You're going to find this one to be very easy. We're going to use formulas like ideal gas law, which is PV equals nRT, things like that. So I'll go through those. You're actually going to be able to have an equation sheet for that and all of that to use on this one. So don't stress too much about the gas laws. We're going to get through this. You're going to do well with this and all of that. So let me stop sharing my screen and kind of close this out. So I don't know if I'm going to get the video up tonight for the next lecture for Unit 10 or if it'll post in the morning. It just depends on how much I'm able to get done this afternoon. So hope to see you there. Please leave a comment or something in the classroom so that I can know who is checking in and who isn't. Because I need to report to administration who's not checking in so that we can reach out to you. So thank you, and I'll hopefully see you working.